2017 was a big year for gaming. Most gamers think of the success of the Nintendo Switch, Mario Odyssey, or PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. But did you know that 2017 was the start of a new retro gaming renaissance? Let's look at the top 10 reasons retro gaming ruled 2017. Number 10. The Atari box.
AMD chipset. Controller.
With the start of Retro Game Mania, even Atari decided to cash in on the mayhem.
Linux.
Hashtag Retro Revival.
Games.
The Atari box had a crowdfunding launch date set for December 14th. Even though the launch has been delayed, it stands as a testament to the mania as more and more companies are seeking to cash in and get a piece of the pie. Number 9. Retro Controller Renaissance. You know it's a crazy year when two controllers make the list. Number 1, the Retro Fighters controller for the N64. It's a modern take on the N64 controller. They made a new, more ergonomic and modern design and eliminated the three-prong N64 controller design that the majority of gamers have grown to hate, especially when the controller craps out from too much Mario Party. They also managed to blow past their Kickstarter fundraising goal, raising over $166,000. There was a second controller that also made the list. After hearing about the N64 controller hype and success from Retro Fighters, Sega themselves decided the Sonic money train wasn't enough. So they teamed up with Retrobit to cash in on some officially licensed Dreamcast and Saturn controllers. On December 19th, 2017, right smack dab before Christmas, Retrobit announced, quote, "With retro gaming on an upswing, we are pleased to offer officially Sega licensed accessories in their original format, as well as apply the innovative classic gaming enhancements that have become the hallmark of Retrobit." Number 8. 30K Sealed Mario. A sealed, hang-tap style boxed copy of the original Super Mario Bros. Sold for over $30,000 on eBay, and yes, the buyer did pay. One well-known collector on the Nintendo Age forums said that there are probably only a dozen examples like this currently known of. Number 7. Retro CD Comeback. Third-party consoles that are equipped to play all your old retro CD-based games seem to be all the rave lately. The CD and the soon-to-be-released Poly Mega currently dominate as first movers to fill the void. Retro gamers envision a future where they will no longer have to worry about optical CD drives crapping out on that old Sega CD, Sega Saturn, or PS1. Nor will they have to worry about hooking up 10 different CD-based consoles. We want a one-stop CD retro shop. Not only do we want it, we demand it. Number 6. Super Mario cereal.
$50 for a box of Super Mario cereal? This is insanity!
The last time Nintendo released a cereal was way back in 1986. It was later discontinued in 1989, most likely because the cereal tastes like crap and nobody liked it.
You just can't. Nintendo cereal system is a super part of this nutritious breakfast.
The fact that Nintendo has brought back the cereal after all this time tells you they are back in their heyday. They are king of the world right now. They are the king of kings of the video game industry, and they know it. They haven't been this high since the days of the NES, arguably the Super Nintendo. Number 5. Nintendo Power returns. Nintendo Power returned in the form of a podcast. So far, only one episode has been released, and they have announced that they are unclear what the future formatting will look like. Could it be that the Nintendo Power might return as a magazine in the very near future? Number 4, the NES Classic Edition. And number 3, the SNES Classic Edition. The NES Classic Edition came with 30 games preloaded and was originally meant to be a holiday item for 2016. But demand was so high, Nintendo continued selling it into 2017. Demand was high and supply was low, causing a time in history known as the Age of Scalpers, a very dark time indeed. Scalpers made out like bandits during this time, and unless you lived inside Walmart, you never saw one. In fact, the stock was so low and demand so high, that even ThinkGeek, aka GameStop, started scalping stock they received. The SNES Classic Edition was later released in the fall of 2017. Nintendo, seeing the new dark age of scalpers, quickly foresaw the approaching apocalypse that would end all days. This time, they announced they would produce more units to meet demand and urged buyers not to give in to the scalpers. They did produce units. Lots of units. But again, Nintendo still does not understand that we are living in the days of the glorious retro revival. Number 2. New official SNES carts! Some of you may be wondering why this made number 2 on our list. It's because it's 2017! Who out there would have ever thought that Capcom would have released a Super Nintendo game in the year 2017? I guarantee you nobody on the planet predicted that one. So Capcom did release Street Fighter 2 in limited quantities, only about 5,500, but some of them were a very cool ultra rare glow-in-the-dark version, which was distributed randomly. It was a shock to the gaming world when this announcement was made. And for those of you who are lucky enough or rich enough to be able to afford it and actually get one, congrats. I envy you. I would have loved to buy one, but I believe the price tag was about $100, and it was about $75 too high for my budget. But Capcom wasn't the only one watching the market and seeing what was happening with this retro revival. Turns out Retrobit has been following this market all too well. Somehow they got their hands on the rights to publish some of the old Data East games, which I believe is held by a holding company ever since 2004. So they worked a deal so that they could publish a bunch of multi-carts for the Super Nintendo and one cart for the NES. The NES one is called Data East Star Collection, one Super Nintendo game of the same variety called Data East Classic Collection, both with separate games, a Jalico Brawlers pack, I believe that even has Peacekeepers, wonderful pack, I would love to get my hands on it. But my all-time favorite was actually the Joe and Mac Ultimate Caveman Collection. Number 1! The Return of Retro Classics! First on the list is the Disney Afternoon Collection, which was published by Capcom and released on April 18, 2017. It features 6 video games originally released between 1989 and 1994 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The 6 games included are DuckTales, DuckTales 2, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 2. The games retain their original style and gameplay, but the compilation includes the ability to rewind game time to correct the mistakes among a few other new modes. The next game to make the list was Blaster Master Zero! Blaster Master Zero was a remake of Sunsoft's Blaster Master for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was released worldwide in March 2017. As in the original game, the game's plot centers around Jason Frudnick, a young man who descends into a subterranean world to rescue a frog creature named Fred. The game was largely well received, with reviewers commenting on its faithfulness to the original. Hashtag Retro Revival. And finally, number 1 on the list! Sonic Mania. Sonic Mania was released worldwide for Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Microsoft Windows in August 2017. Reception to the game was positive. Critics praised its presentation, level design, music, and faithfulness to the early Sonic games. It even had a Green Hill Zone. Sonic Mania topped the bestsellers list on the Nintendo Switch and drastically increased the profit of Sega's third quarter for 2017, with Sonic Mania credited for Sega selling nearly double the amount of packaged games the company sold in their third quarter from the previous year, 2016. So why did Sega finally go back to 16-bit style Sonic? Because 2017 was the year of retro games! If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and support the channel by subscribing, and leave a comment below what you thought should have been included in this list. What am I missing and what would you have put? What did you like? Leave some feedback below.